AITA for telling my wife the newborn is her responsibility and don't bother about it when she wanted a nap. My wife and I are currently separated, waiting out the mandatory 12 months before we can finalize our divorce. She was supposed to move out, but finding a place nearby that would make 50-50 custody of our 3 kids easier has been harder than either of us anticipated. So, for now, we're still living under the same roof. Awkward doesn't even begin to describe it. The reason for our divorce? My wife decided, without consulting me, to become a surrogate for her twin sister, SIL. And not just for one baby. This wasn't a one-and-done deal. The plan was that she'd carry 2 babies for them over the next 3 years. Apparently, because they're twins, my wife was the perfect choice for this. SIL and her husband convinced her that it was a beautiful thing to do, and she completely bought into it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against surrogacy in general. But this wasn't just about her. It was about our family, too. We've got 3 kids to think about. I work full-time, and our household dynamic depends on both of us pulling our weight. Adding a pregnancy and then a newborn into the mix, even temporarily, would shake everything up. I felt blindsided and betrayed when she told me what she'd agreed to do. And let me be clear, she didn't ask me. She told me. By the time she sat me down, everything had already been decided. It was obvious they'd been planning this for weeks, if not months, behind my back. She hit me with the classic line, "This is my body, my choice. I get it, bodily autonomy is important, but we're supposed to be partners. Shouldn't a life-altering decision like this be a joint discussion?" She made it clear I had no say. Her exact words were something like, "Either support me or we'll get divorced." It felt like an ultimatum, and I don't respond well to those. I told her if she went through with it, I couldn't stay in the marriage. A minute, she acted like I was overreacting and dismissed me. A few months later, she dropped the bombshell that she was pregnant with her sister's baby. 2 days later, I filed for divorce. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. I'd warned her. I'd given her the opportunity to reconsider. She chose to go ahead anyway. When I filed, the fallout was intense. SIL and her husband tried everything to make me feel like the bad guy. They said I was heartless for not supporting my wife and selfish for abandoning her during such a noble act. They pulled every guilt-tripping tactic in the book, but I stood my ground. I told them, "This is your baby, your responsibility. Don't expect me to step up where you failed." The pregnancy itself was a nightmare. My wife acted like everything was normal, as if I'd just get over it. She expected me to support her the way I had during her previous pregnancies, getting her midnight snacks, rubbing her feet, picking up extra slack around the house. But this wasn't our baby. I wasn't going to pretend it was. Every time she asked me for something, I'd tell her, "If you want a 3 a.m. burger, call your sister. She's the one you're doing this for." She thought I was being cruel, but I was just setting boundaries. At one point, she even called my mom to complain about how I wasn't stepping up. My mom shut that down real quick, saying, "He has no obligation to take care of someone else's child. You made this decision without him, so you can't expect his help." That conversation didn't go over well with my wife. Now, here's where things get even more complicated. 2 days before my wife gave birth, SIL was in a terrible car accident. She's currently in the ICU, and her condition is serious. Her husband, SIL's husband, hasn't left her side since it happened, which is understandable. But that left my wife in a difficult position. Suddenly, the baby had no immediate caregivers. After SIL's accident, my wife started acting like I should step in. She began saying things like, "This baby is innocent. It's not their fault." She wanted me to treat the newborn like it was my responsibility until SIL and her husband could take over. I told her no, repeatedly. I said, "The baby has a father. He should be stepping up, not me." She kept making excuses for her brother-in-law, saying he was overwhelmed and stressed about SIL. While I sympathize with what he's going through, it doesn't change the fact that this isn't my kid. I refused to go to the delivery room, and she called me heartless. Then, the baby was born. I won't lie, it's a cute baby. But every time I look at it, I'm reminded of how my wife completely disregarded our partnership to make this decision. And now, she's trying to rope me into parenting a child that isn't mine. The final straw came today. It was my day off, and I was finally getting a moment to relax. My wife approached me, looking completely drained. She had dark circles under her eyes, and she was on the verge of tears. She asked me if I could watch the baby for an hour so she could nap and shower. She said she was sorry for going against me with the surrogacy and that she didn't want the divorce anymore. I looked at her and said, "Why don't you call your brother-in-law?" She didn't respond, just stared at me. So I said, "The newborn is your responsibility. Don't bother me about it again. And I suggest you start looking harder for a new place to live." She snapped. She started screaming, calling me names, saying I was heartless and cruel. She said karma would get me for this. Then she packed a bag, took the baby, and left. I'm pretty sure she went to her mom's place because her family and SIL's husband have been blowing up my phone all day, calling me every name in the book. I know I could have handled today differently. Maybe I could have taken the baby for an hour. Maybe I could have been more sympathetic, given everything she's dealing with. But at the same time, I feel like she made her bed, and now she has to lie in it. She made this choice without me. She told me I had no say. So why should I be the one stepping up now? At the same time, seeing her so broken today mess with my head. A part of me wonders if I'm being too cold-hearted. Maybe I should have been more understanding. So, Reddit, AITA for standing my ground and telling my wife that the newborn is her responsibility? Or am I just a heartless monster like she says?